Hello everyone, this is Todd Lawrence, Idaho State E-rate coordinator. This is the last of the 4 sections that I have for the fall E-rate training for funding year 2015, 16, and 17. So this was the fall training that I did in 2016 that I did across the state of Idaho. This piece we're going to focus on is the fiber and special construction areas within E-rate. So with that, let's get started. So fiber. What are the areas of fiber that we focus on in the conversations around E-rate? There are basically 3 different types of fiber construction pieces or fiber bidding options or bidding opportunities. You have your least lit fiber. This is the most common fiber connection that an entity would have today. Basically, the service provider owns and manages both the network and the electronics all over the network, the data transportation, etc., end-to-end service. Basically, that is it truly kind of what is in 90+% of the time what is purchased with a service provider today. The other option you have is a leased dark fiber. This is basically where the applicant leases a portion of that fiber. The provider owns the fiber and maintains the fiber network. The provider takes care of everything. The applicant will purchase the equipment and light the fiber, and that will be something that is an option on a lot of projects that an applicant may be interesting component of for an applicant. If you're purchasing a dark fiber, that fiber must be lit within that school year or that funding year that it is applied. So if applicant doesn't have plans to use that fiber right away, but does in the coming months, that is an eligible service that they can go out to bid on. The third option is owned or self-provision. This is basically the applicant owns the fiber and the electronics for the network. There is a construction in most cases of this fiber, and that construction can be paid for with E-rate dollars, and then the applicant would then own and have to maintain that fiber. Of course, probably have to pay or have another company do that maintenance piece, but then they would pay that service to that company. E-rate would pay for that maintenance for both the network and lighting equipment as well. Special construction charges. So basically, build charges. What does it take? What are the costs associated to digging a trench or putting fiber from point A to point B to increase the infrastructure, increase the connectivity in that building? There are going to be one-time charges that are incurred for installation of that services, for the trenches, etc. It can be both. It can be any of the least lit, least dark, or even self-provision fiber. So those charges, regardless of what type of connection you're getting, whether it's a connection type, least lit, least dark, or self-provision, those are all part of special construction charges as well, and eligible under E-rate rules as well. Different things that are included are constructions of the network facilities, designing of the project, the engineering aspect of it, the certifications or the different licenses that have to be acquired in order to do some of the construction pieces, and also the project management aspect of it as well. The nice thing is, from a provider standpoint, that large investment can be paid back by E-rate to the provider in the first year. So they're not on the hook to cover the entire construction costs for a longer period of time. They are reimbursed within the first year of that project. And then whatever's left over, the non-E-rated portion, the balance, is left over that the applicant is responsible for, that could potentially be paid back over about a 4-year plan, so it's not paid back in a year. So the non-discounted portion that the applicant would be responsible for can be paid back in multiple years, which makes it nice from a budgeting standpoint, so you don't have to have a large charge in one particular year. It can be spread out over multiple years. And that piece has to be identified or provisioned on the 470 when you release the 470 in RFP. So that can be understood and agreed to by the service provider as well. Some of the requirements that are for going out to bid on special construction programs. So the bid must have a self-provision and or dark fiber with lit fiber. So if you're going out for lit fiber, you have to do cost comparisons to either self-provision or dark fiber as well, just from a cost standpoint. And that cost can be over the life of the contract. If it's a 10-year contract, that can be amortized and calculated comparably what it would be to continue to pay the services that you currently have with the new construction one-time costs and the new monthly recurring costs of the new fiber as well. Those all need to be compared. And typically, these are going to be more than a 28-day bidding window because of the complexity. There's a lot of things that the provider has to put into place, permits that they may have to get if there's crossing roads or if they're crossing railroad crossings, etc. All those things have to be taken into consideration from a timing standpoint. Likely these take several months to put together, and then the project itself can take several months to actually complete once it's all approved. So planning ahead is vitally important, and that is something that is definitely recommended. So start now. We have folks here on staff that we can help answer some questions, provide some guidance, give some direction to some thoughts and some planning that you may have if you're going out for special construction type projects. Idaho BIIG. So this is one of the components that is associated or affiliated to the special construction program. The legislation this last year approved money to be set aside for the state to reimburse back to applicants who are going out for special construction to have 10% state match put in to the program. So that would cover the non-E-rated portion that's what's left over of a construction charge. And then the state would put in up to 10%, and then the FCC would match that same percentage up to 10% again to cover another, a large percentage. So essentially, a district, let's say an 80% free and reduced NSLP district, could technically have 80% of the construction charge paid for by E-rate, and then 10% covered by state, and then the final 10% covered by the FCC. We are working with the language of the bill because the FCC did not like some parts of the language, so we're sticking it back into this coming legislation cycle, and hopefully we'll get this approved. Modified language can change. It was faster to do it this way than to write rules behind it, so we are certainly hopeful that this will get approved again. The FCC then will approve the language, which will then approve Idaho as an approved state for the state match program, and then any construction charges that can be approved can go through the approval process, and then that potentially could be kicked back into the program to help pay for the leftover charges that the applicant would be on the hook for. So don't have any insight of what's going to happen. We're hopeful, and we'll definitely communicate that out as fast, as quickly as possible when we know any more feedback on that. That is the special construction, not a very long piece, but just kind of want to give an overview of the options that are available in the special construction areas, differences between everything. This is my contact information. Feel free to reach out and ask me any questions regarding this. We have other members on the team here that are knowledgeable in the more in the fiber construction areas, so we can certainly help you any way we possibly can to put together some ideas and some thoughts. This is a complicated process. It does take a lot longer than a normal bidding process for internet service or internal connection services, etc. So planning ahead is definitely vital, like I mentioned before. So with that, if there's any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to help in any way we can. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you joining. Have a great day.